Welcome to the Don Pod, the supporters podcast. Here's your hosts, Sam and Nate.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
The Don season ends with defeat in Brisbane, 10-7-67 to 11-21-87. Inaccuracy certainly putting some respectability on the scoreboard for the Dons. Welcome back to the final match review of 2024. It goes quick, the footy season. I can't quite believe it. I'm joined by the white-bearded Nathan. Hello.
Hello, Sam, and thank fuck it's over. It's been painful. Yes, 11 wins, same as last year. I don't feel like we're much better. We are probably slightly better, but God, I hate some of our players right at the moment, which we will discuss throughout this last game. There's some players I've never disliked so many players. I feel like at the club at the moment that you know, like in the bad years, which I don't know when they were, but yeah, I just hate. I was like, why is he playing? Anyway, we'll get into it.
Hate's a strong word, but it's hard to.
Yeah, it's the wrong word. It's just so frustrated with them.
I feel your pain, as I'm sure many others do. I'll run through some numbers and then we'll crack in, I suppose, you know. Langford kicks 3, also has 5 tackles, which was an equal team high, and 10 marks, which was second for the team.
Where's that been?
Return to form, yep. Stringer kicks 2, Merritt, Martin, Hobbs, Gresham, and Doripa kick 1. Merritt leads the way again, 37 disposals, an equal team high 5 tackles. Not many for an equal team high, but anywho. Heppel and McGrath, 34 apiece. Archie Roberts and Nick Martin, 28 apiece, with Mardo 11 marks, which was a team high.
It's one of the things I'd like to discuss about skills when we get down to that topic, like tackling. Can we please practice that skill, because we're shit at it?
Well, let's start at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Danaher's 200th game. Judas, as I like to call him.
Judas, I must admit, I didn't realise it was his 200th game until the game started. I went, oh, God, that's worse.
And, of course, good on you guys, Dyson Heppel, final game. 34 touches, which is
played very well.
Interesting. There will be a rather large school of thought saying, well, that should have been last week, and can neither agree nor disagree. But anyway, it happened. He had a lot of love. He did get a lot of love up there.
It's a fascinating topic, just that, like the situation of not playing last week, but playing this week, having a jumper that's got his little shaka, whatever thing on it. There was some rumours on a chat thing that I was on with Herbertron, the mighty Herbertron. I'd like to thank him for lending us, or having something like that, where it was a bit of thought about maybe those jumpers were meant to be last week and they didn't get, like, I don't know, made or printed.
He could have played both, really. That's not
on form.
Well, this is the interesting thing, right? So why wasn't he playing VFL? Because if he was going to get back into the side on form, that was the way to do that. So why?
Why did they pick him for this game? Like, just because Wiedemann was injured? Like, that's not a like for like at all.
No, it's a farewell. It was a farewell game at that point.
Yep. And then, why wouldn't you play Hayes? Like, I don't know. It's like all these sort of questions.
Who we can blame?
Who?
The AFL. They should have seen this coming, and we shouldn't have played Brisbane in the last round in Brisbane.
Wow.
We should have played in Melbourne.
Okay.
It's their fault.
Yeah, fair enough. I would have liked to have played Sydney at Sydney, and then we could have played Brisbane at the Marvel. Yeah. I don't know.
It would have still been 2 losses.
Yeah, no, that doesn't matter. But at least Dyson would have got to play at home. I do think there's something sus about it. Is all I'm saying. Is something doesn't fit for me. Like, why did he get picked this week, and why did they have a jumper knocked up for him? Why didn't they have the jumper knocked up a couple of weeks ago when he said, oh well, he's not in the team. He's sort of finished. I don't know. It's all just doesn't sit.
It's questions we'll never know the answer to.
It's the continued disappointment of the Essendon Football Club, even on off-field still.
A little bit. He can certainly hold his head up high for the way he reacted to it all. As I said, he got a lot of love up there in Brisbane from his own teammates and supporters, but also Danaher after the game, Chris Fagan, he seemed to be having a pretty chummy chat with Fags as he was walking across to get carried off. No doubt the man is one of the best people to walk through the Essendon Football Club, but I don't know, maybe 34 disposals. Maybe I'm regretting that thing in my mind of right time dice, but I still think it is.
I still think it is. I wouldn't take that away. I mean, his form a few weeks ago was pretty ordinary, and when he was dropped 2 weeks ago, whatever, he wasn't playing very good football, and he is 31. I mean, the thing about Dyson Heppel is that he's playing a role halfback flanker. I've talked about this, and I argue with anyone. One of the easiest roles to play in the AFL.
You do argue with anyone.
Yep, I do. Hey. And so if you can't knock up 25 possessions in that role, like most of the time, you're doing it wrong.
That's fair, but there's always the like the beer goggles. You look back on it and with a bit of nostalgia and go, oh, geez, you know. I think the biggest mistake he made was cutting off his hair. He was not quite the same after cutting his hair, and I'm well aware of the cause there.
It was a good cause, apparently.
Very good cause, but still. Anyway, good on you, Dice.
Thanks for being.
He strikes me as a commentator more than a coach. I think that might be the avenue he takes, but we'll see.
Yeah,
might see him back around the traps. Be a runner, very slow runner for the club. Look, it's.
Well,
it's a bit directionless, is all I want to say, because it's the last game. It meant nothing. We were flipping ordinary. I didn't watch the full game. You didn't watch the full game.
Well, can I talk about what I saw that really pissed me off? Yep. So, a couple of things. I watched the first half, and I couldn't get over the skill level of our team compared to theirs.
Lack of skill.
The difference between the two. Like, there was a moment, freaking Laverde couldn't pick the ball up and just went past him and they ran in to kick a goal. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, Ben Mackay takes one mark for the whole game.
62 inside 50s?
62 inside 50s, and he only takes one mark. Like, I know some of them might have come in a bit low and on the ground. But seriously, he is big white freaking elephant floating around in our back half. Like, he's just shithouse.
What did Harris Andrews take, you told me, from 47?
Yeah, 6 marks. Just as a guy that's over 200 centimetres up their other end. Like, and that's how you get the ball back. Yeah, I mean, Laverde is a spud. Like, he's a VFL. Him and Kelly are VFL quality players playing AFL because, well, I don't know why, but because there's no one else to pick.
So we've been quite kind to Jake Kelly.
Yep.
For a few weeks because he was playing back in his role, seemingly doing it well. My issue is still when he's got the ball, he's quite slow.
Still is.
But I can live with that if you're beating your opponent. But Bro just gave them the ball back several times. Once, when they're so bad, like the one that happened.
With the handball.
Clearly, that's a jumper clash. I'm okay that he's looked up and thought he saw an Essendon player and he didn't. I can forgive that.
There's something about it that also feels like, yep, that's our Jake Kelly.
Fitting.
That's
it's
our
fitting,
boy.
for sure.
Yeah.
It'd be fitting of any player that ran
no one else did it
last night. But I can accept that that's just a moment. But as a footballer, he hasn't got the skills, and it's not the only one, and we shouldn't single him out. Well, he's not got the skills or speed of mind to make decisions and make decisions quickly, which was also our criticism on Heppel towards the end there.
Yeah.
That you just... So much scoring in the AFL now comes from rebound, and that's totally unfounded without any stat checking. Brisbane themselves scored heavily last night from our turnovers. That's how you get the ball back. You win the ball back in your D50 and go, because they're out of position.
We are one-way runners in the midfield.
Except for Zachy.
Except for Zach. But, like, we don't... There's just a couple... My big issue from that game, and probably from the year, is when you look back at the losses, what stands out is the skill. The wet games, you know, and I think we'll agree that wet games shine the skill football. Like, Dustin Martin's the sort of guy in a wet game just doesn't have problems, you know. Our team, spill, fumble, can't pick it up, tap it, throw it. What about that throw, too? There was this horrible throw from... What Jake Kelly's mark that he just dropped and then... God, there were so many moments. Herbertron's going to have so much material this week.
Field day, yeah.
He's got so much material this week. It's going to be brilliant.
good old Herb, just as a side step here, messaged the Facebook page, the Don Pod Facebook page, and said, I'm doing a watch along this week. It'd be great if you could join. And I was like, I didn't realise it was him straight away. And then I messaged you. I said, are you interested? Because I couldn't do it. I was off having my birthday shenanigans. And you were like, oh, yeah, I don't know. And I went, the last name was Herb something or other. I'm like, oh, my God, it's Herb.
Mhm.
Nathan, you need to do this.
Yep.
And then we chatted a little bit and I realised he didn't want us on. He wanted us in the chat.
Mm.
And I was a bit like, oh, okay. You can do that, Nathan.
So I did, and I struggled to stay. I left at halftime, as I said. I didn't watch the third quarter. I watched the scores on my computer while I was watching a movie and sort of watched it not do much. And then I saw the fourth quarter and I thought, yeah, that'll be about right. Yep,
Right.
We'll kick a few at the end just to make it look respectable.
Well, I watched the first quarter in full and then basically had babysitting duties with my mates. They were having a bad time with their 2-year-old or nearly 3-year-old. And she seemed to gravitate towards me, so I kept her entertained and quiet while...
Look at you, Dad.
Yeah, I was impressed with myself, I won't lie. And another mate's 2-month-old that I got to sleep when no one else could. But yeah, as a result, I missed the majority of the game. But anyway.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It is funny. Can I just circle back a little bit?
Mm.
Watching it with a mate who goes for Brisbane and a mate who goes for Richmond and another who goes for Essendon but had money on Brisbane, so he was indifferent. It's quite funny.
I can understand where it's at.
But we were talking about, because we'd watched the end of the Gold Coast Richmond game before, and you see the love that Dustin Martin, Dylan Grimes, there was a third one, Marlon Pickett, less so Pickett, but Grimes and Dusty did amazing things for that football club. Obviously, Dusty.
Yep.
Up there with Gary Ablett Jr., as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, he's one of the best players
I've
in the
ever
last
watched.
20 years. Yep, no argument there.
And then I look at us sending off Heppel, and I just go, it's no disrespect to Heppel. He's victim of the team he's played for.
Mm.
But I just go, wow. You can have, there's just such differences here in
Do you
where
mean
we're
like
at.
the
as
quality of the player or the
the
we're talking about
fanfare?
just the player, not the person?
The fanfare. I find the talk about Heppel being such a champion and
Yeah, you're not.
it's strange when you compare it to someone like Dusty, who won 3 premierships, 3 Norma Smith medals, a Brownlow, not single-handedly, that was a very good team, but dragged that club from being absolutely dreadful to a triple premiership. Should have been 4, wasn't, but should have been 4.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I was watching. Yeah,
I can't make that work in my mind.
I was watching the Fox broadcast before the game, and Dermy Brereton, I thought, summed it up well. He said he was a great bloke.
Yes,
and
we know that. We know
that, but he's not a great player in any stands. He's won one best and fairest.
Yep,
not much. He's won one All Australian. It's not much, and he's got his Rising Star Award. That's not much of an achievement for a 250 game player. Like really, he has never won a final. Never he would have barely polled in a Brownlow. Best in a Brownlow might be 8. Back in the early 2000 when he was actually a good player. So
he's been a good player for us. I find it so strange, this fanfare.
Well, he hasn't. No, I don't even think he's been a good player for us. He's been an honest player. I don't think he's good
leader.
He's won best and fairest at the Essendon Football Club. Is nothing to.
Yeah, I know, but leadership.
Ridley's got one. Who else has got one? Peter Wright's got one. It's not a.
All right, fair enough.
Get 2 and we'll talk.
On the same day that Dusty does a lap of the MCG, I find it so bizarre how we view players and.
Well, this is what I thought was weird about the jumper and the fact that it was the Brisbane game and not the week before against Sydney. When we had something to play for. Say we'd beaten Sydney. I'm not saying we would have, but say the Dyson Heppel's emotion, in the second half would have got us over the line in the Sydney game. We had something to play for. There was nothing to play for in the Brisbane game. And maybe that's why I was picked, but I think that's even a worse reason to pick, isn't it?
Yeah. I was supportive of last week, and I could understand how that came about, but yeah, right. It's just strange. Anyway, let's not bang on about Heppel the whole time. This time of year, you have so many players retiring across the board, and some players sort of just fade off into the distance, and that's okay. I know Heppel's been great for us. I find it so strange with teams giving guards of honours for opposition players in different circumstances. Mm-hmm. Collingwood and Melbourne gave a guard of honour for Ray Chamberlain. It's just bizarre. Yes, he's been an umpire for 300 whatever games, and he's a character, and I like the way he speaks, to be honest, when he's on podcasts and stuff. But a guard of honour for an umpire? Seriously?
Yeah, maybe that's fine. I don't want to get into that one.
No, fair enough.
How about back to the game?
Move on, Sam. Yep.
I have another question to the group. Matt Guelphy being picked, and so he had no VFL game that we could find.
That,
So he'd
that
had an
caught me
injury.
off guard, that one.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
So he had trained, obviously. He had an injury. He's trained. He's come back. He's played half the game, not even that, really. He's done the hamstring. They brought Hobbs on, who I don't like as a sub. I don't get. I hate the sub rule, but I don't get Hobbs as a sub. I
May
don't.
well be the last time we see that rule.
Thank God for that.
In
'Cause
an
I don't get
Essendon
Hobbs
game.
as a sub. I just don't. He doesn't. He's not a forward, and they chuck him up there. He's a midfielder, and that's it.
Totally agree. We set a precedent for coming back through the VFL.
Yeah.
Not sure Parrish did it. I can't recall. Ridley did it.
Yep. Shields done it.
Shield did it for most of the season.
Yep.
And then you got a Matt Guelphy who
He's a shit football
he's
player.
not.
Let's be honest.
He's not in the top 15 players on the.
No.
Yeah. So why? Why not just play Davey Jr.? Or
Yep.
I know Menzies was copping heat for being quite poor, but
He's fit still.
there's
He
no
would have
point.
played out a whole game.
Why?
Why bring in a guy who's just breaks? Now I know they wouldn't know he was going to break down with a hamstring, but why do we have a rule for everyone else, and then all of a sudden we go, no, fuck the rules, we'll just bring Matt Guelphy in?
There's like two players.
And this is
that
not
I'd
Matt
accept.
Guelphy's fault.
No, not at all. But it's management, and
This is
Brad
inconsistent coaching.
has talked about that from last year. They learnt so many lessons against GWS when they thumped us, not playing guys that were half cooked, whatever.
Yep.
Just odd. I don't understand that anyway. Some numbers, if I may.
Yep.
So not great reading.
Oh, this sums us up though.
I need my glasses. I'm sure this fucking sheet's gotten smaller. Plus 24 disposals, which was minus 15 kicks and plus 39 handballs, which again, over possession of the football.
Yeah.
Minus 33 contested. That's pretty poor. Plus, I've written plus. That is definitely meant to be a minus 15 inside 50s. As we've touched on, just 15's a lot. It's a lot of ball down there.
That is a lot. Like that is you've been burnt all the way through the ground.
Which is systematic or symptomatic of plus 3 hitouts, minus 20 clearances.
That's a flogging.
I don't think I've said more than minus 5 this year.
That's a flogging around the ground. That's the midfielders got touched.
Yep. So minus 4 centre clearance and minus 16 stoppage clearance. Can I tell you a story quickly?
Go, love a story.
We were watching this together in the last quarter, and I've had trouble watching football with my mates in the past.
Yeah.
I don't
Mates can
care
be
now.
annoying.
I really don't care now. I'll happily sit there and talk with my Richmond friend about how shit we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. So there was a stoppage at our half forward. When we were coming back, when it was just borderline getting interesting, we had a ball up. Earlier on, I'd spoken about our setup at these stoppage clearances. I don't understand how the opposition always seems to have so much space out the back.
Yep.
Now, I was standing next to the TV. We're outside. And the ball up, there was a Brisbane player who was on our goal side of the stoppage. No one near him. I'm like, what's this prick doing? Like, serious? I'm standing there pointing to him as the umpire throws the ball up. Who does it go to? Straight to that fucking asshole. Like, you're coming back in the game. I don't care. Like, in that situation, we can look at it now and go, Brisbane kicked 21 points. We were lucky.
Yeah,
At that
we were
point
lucky.
in time, we were involved in the game. We could have actually come back and won that game of football.
Yep.
And they've got a loose man on the attacking side of a stoppage.
Yep. I saw similar things, and I shouted at the screen a couple of times. There was a ball up about 20 metres out from their goal square, and Mackay had been in a contest about 10 seconds earlier, and him and Danaher. Danaher then just rolled back into the goal square like by himself, and Mackay's 5 metres off the bounce just as they're about to throw it up. I'm going, you better switch your head on, mate, because he's back there by himself. And he finally did, but the ball had gone up and he was running back to pick up. And luckily, whatever happened, the ball didn't go there. I'm like, how do you let him just fuck off from you and go stand in the goal square? Like, they were seriously 15 metres apart. I'm going, how?
Yeah, what do you expect to
How
happen
have you
here?
done that, mate? Like, you've got one job. Turn around and look for him.
And we did have a giggle because, again, one of my friends go for Brisbane. So we've talked at length about McGrath and McCluggage.
Yep.
And look, at the time, could understand why we picked McGrath.
I get it,
It's a lottery, right? So I used to fight tooth and nail for McGrath being the right choice. Obviously now, pretty hard to defend anything other than McCluggage being the better player. So it was like right in the first quarter, McCluggage gets the ball off the centre bounce, bursts away, running, kicks it to the forward 50, where McGrath falls over.
Yep. I saw this. Yeah.
Oh, that's fitting. Oh,
Yep.
that's so perfect.
Yep.
For fuck's sake.
So I know we'll have a end of season chat too, and a bit of a review about what we want. One of the things that we need to work on, and if anyone's drafted into this club anymore, they have to be elite kicking.
Yep.
We've got too many passengers in the kicking world, and look, for me, guys like Parrish, Laverde, Kelly, that's probably the ones that jump out at mind. Hobbs, they just don't kick the ball well enough. I would seriously consider Hobbs, Sardis, and a few others. I know you're probably a little bit different on Sardis. I would just get rid of them and say, look, we've made mistakes and we've got too many guys already that can't kick. Our midfielders can't kick.
Question without notice. What's your pass mark for pure kicking efficiency, not disposal efficiency?
No.
Mind...
I don't care about the numbers. It's about, like, you watch Zach Merritt, you watch Archie Roberts. Like the way they and Martin, most of the time, Martin can be he can bullet the ball a bit too much, but it's just in the game. Like I don't care what Parrish's numbers tell me. I can tell you he misses the targets a lot.
Can I tell you what Parrish's number tell you?
Yeah, go.
33.3% kicking efficiency.
I feel like that's about right.
Point.
And
proven.
I know what the McGrath's numbers. Do you know McGrath's numbers? Because I'm sure there was one, for example, where he butchered this kick.
But it was effective.
It hit an Essendon player on the chest.
But it wasn't where he wanted it.
Wasn't meant to go
and
there,
that's where stats are
yep.
deceiving because, yes, that's an effective kick. Pitch was 73. I didn't...
Yep.
Even last week, I haven't had as much issue with McGrath. My frustrations are still there with him, for sure, but they come more from Mackay, Laverde, and Cal. Yeah.
Kelly's kicking is just slow. Like, he shits himself a lot. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing when he's getting the ball. That's why he's getting tackled, or he seems a bit thick. Like when he's got the ball, there are smart football players and there are not smart football players, and he falls into the other category.
Yeah, and we need a few more smart footballers.
We need some of those really. And I'll go back to something I've harped on all year, and I know we're a bit different here. Massimo D'Ambrosio. I know why we got rid of him. I get that, but geez, it looks like a really bad decision at the end of the year because I would rather have him than Kelly. I'd rather have him than Heppel. Like he had another really good game. I don't know if you saw any of the Hawthorn game. He had another.
I saw the scores.
Yeah, he had 30 odd possessions, and he kicked a goal. Like
I totally agree, and I know how it looks when you go, we traded this player out for peanuts, and now he's a superstar who I still think will get All-Australian. I definitely 40, I would say he's very close to that Best 22. I would say if I was to go, well, is it Hawthorn's credit or our fuck up? It's both, but I would put more credit on Hawthorn for identifying the position he can play, the impact he can have, and Hawthorn's resurgence turnaround as a whole, that he is the player he is. He would never have been that player in Essendon, and that's a separate issue.
I get that because he wouldn't have played the same role. But
that's a separate issue.
Yeah, it's a separate issue. But he still would have played a half-back role.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm less...
He's got a good kick. He's a good left footer. He's hard at the ball. He's got good skills. He's he's a smart football player. So all those tick boxes are there. Yeah, he's maybe not big enough or tall enough to play a role, but
we didn't lose the player that's played for Hawthorn this year. We
lost the player that could have been.
But we'll never know. But
I guess this is factored. The double hurt from this is that we've recruited a guy like Gresham who has had another shit game. Who's like, again,
he's so bad. So bad.
He's just kicks. I don't know what he gets the ball and just kicks it to the pocket. Like that's his option. I'll just kick it to the pocket. Like he's just such a smart. Benton Mackay, I'm not happy with. Like Goldstein was I get why we picked him, but I would argue I would have just rather seen Nick Bryant play the whole year.
Well,
he played another good game on the weekend. Like
may we digress and speak about Nicky Boy Bryan.
Yep, go Nicky Boy. I love Nicky Boy.
13 disposals, 3 marks, 3 tackles, 28 hit-outs, and 3 clearances.
That's a decent game from a kid who's playing about his 10th game of football, isn't it?
Very good game of football. 81
against the Big O.
fantasy. Big O and Joe's a great combination in the ruck for Brisbane. Obviously, their mids were far more effective, so we won't talk about them. But even Draper wasn't awful. Kicked a goal, couple of marks, took a bit of a mini hanger.
But like Nick Bryant, like in the 5 games, he's 4 or 5, whatever it's been now, he's played in a row. He's been really good for a kid who we're talking has played 10 games of AFL football.
Yep.
So if he'd played now every game this year and played the 22, at the end of this year would have gone, okay, what do we walk away from this year? I'm saying that Nick Bryant's already one of them. I'm saying Archie Roberts is another one of them that I'm saying, well, there's a real positive at the end of the year we can look at and go, yep, they've been really good.
I reckon
as half form was unreal, but then nothing happened there.
I would still reflect on Nick Bryan now and go, well, that's a positive.
Yeah.
We did it late.
Yeah,
we
right.
left it too late, but that's still a huge positive. Remember that game last year against West Coast where we played him, but he played like 45% game time.
Yeah.
And it was just, we were like, why bother?
Why'd you pick him?
Why bother do that?
Yep.
85% last night.
Yeah.
And Draper played 81. So my only criticism of him is he looks far too much like Caddy. And I get very confused.
We'll have a word to him.
It's not it hasn't just happened one time where I've gone, why the fuck's Caddy in the ruck? Oh, it's fine.
But yeah, like I would love to hear. I'd love to have this, conversation. We talk about this a lot. I'd love to just be able to send in an email to Brad Scott and say, please explain. Why? What's the theory on Nick Bryant and why it's taken to round 8 or 20 before he gets a game, and why you played a 36-year-old guy who realistically should have come to the club as the backup. He should have come.
He was number 3.
Should have been number 3. So when Draper didn't play those few games at the start of the year, or even when he's been unfit, he's hurt himself through the. That's when Goldstein should have come in. Fair enough. Not any other time.
I totally agree.
Is it a personality thing, which is I know Goldie is a great bloke?
I'm gonna devil's advocate here, and I'm not disagreeing with you in the slightest. I just think the preseason games we watched, we were so impressed with Goldie.
Yep.
And there was a point in time, for sure, when he should have been playing.
Yep.
But that time wore out very quickly, and he played about 4 or 5 more games than he really should have.
Yep, I agree.
And
especially at the time when Brian was playing really good VFL, really good form VFL, and had been for a long, 2 years of good footy. Like he won our best and fairest in the VFL last year or the year before, or something like that. So he's been playing good VFL footy for a long time.
And the words, I was going to say something, and then you talked a little bit more. And it's not your fault.
Nick Bryan.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was too late, but it is also a little bit in this that's hindsight. Because we're looking at Nick Bryan and going, well, we were right, but we did get that one game against Gold Coast where he was quite poor. So I can, again, if I try to put my mind in the position of a coach, maybe there was an element of, well, maybe he's just not quite ready for AFL. Yes, the last 3 weeks have shown us that he is. But again, I can kind of understand how that might come about. Especially when you've got a mature ruckman who has been a very good ruckman for a long time. I can understand the decision making. But now that's it. If Goldstein's on the list next year, it has to be. Well, he can be on the list, but he has to be number 3.
But why would he need to be on the list? We've got Vigo as well. But
it might be.
Why do you need to keep the 36-year-old? Why wouldn't I just go back to the VFL? This is the other thing I'm going to say, is that consistently we seem to be better picking at mid-season and end-of-season drafts and picking guys who play VFL sample, or waffle or something like that.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just saying not players that are uncontracted or, playing another AFL club.
Yes, we suck at free agency.
We suck at it something sucking serious.
The point I was going to make there, I don't know if we would want Vigo exposed to AFL next year. I'm confident that Vigo's an okay player and will feature in the AFL at some stage.
And that's a fair point.
But I don't know, because if round 1 Draper goes out with a knee, God forbid, then Vigo's all of a sudden going to have to play games of AFL football, and he's not ready. So you need cover, which is why I say that Goldstein's okay to be on the list, but he only comes in 39, even behind Peter Wright.
Oh, well, I was going to say, what about Peter Wright?
If there's a scenario that Pete's still in the VFL and we get an injured ruckman, well, then maybe Pete comes back in.
Yes. Because if it was Peter Wright as the backup ruckman with Nick as the senior ruckman, and Pete was just playing a forward/ruckman,
I'm okay with that.
I'd rather that than
Yes,
Goldstein.
correct. But if injuries happen as they do, you still need another ruckman, I think, to
You're
to
right.
be on
But
the
I don't
list.
think you should over-plan for injuries. Like, you've got
No. But he's not
one
costing us
backup is
anything.
enough. Like, if 2 or 3 break down, well, that's your season's in trouble anyway.
If you play one ruckman,
But we
yeah.
play 2. We've got
we
3
play two,
ruckmen.
so you need another ruckman. That's what. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think we agree. We're just not.
Yeah, we're just on a tangent about ruckman.
Yep. Fuck ruckman. I hate ruckman anyway.
Hey,
I don't hate them. I just don't think they're as valuable.
I can understand if you. I've seen so many teams play really well, just throwing a tall forward in there and winning games.
Back when Alia played for Sydney and we had Zach Clark in the ruck.
Oh, that's not a good example.
Oh boy,
That's a horrible example.
was
Sam.
it Alia? It was
it was.
Sydney. Yeah, he killed us.
He did, and Zach Clark was an okay football player at best, and he got flogged that day.
I really hope it was Alia.
It was him when he was playing for Sydney.
Sydney. Okay, good. Right, you want to do some votes?
Yep.
So I remembered the post,
good
which
vote.
honestly was a minor miracle. But anyway, Lee Gale. Apologies if I said that surname wrong there. Lee, Brisbane
Windy.
by 14. They won by 20. From what I could see going through, that was the closest and the earliest comment. And I think him and I did the same votes. So that is Merritt 3, Martin 2, and Clangford 1.
Langford. I like that.
Kyle Langford.
Where's he been? Like, can we talk about where his last 6 weeks have been?
As impressive as 3 goals, 25 touches is, 5 tackles as well for 10 marks. It's a bit like, well, if he play like that against Gold Coast and Adelaide, we're probably playing finals.
Yeah. Hey, can you quickly check for me how many tackles McGrath had while I do my votes? Just out of curiosity.
Do you know the answer to this?
I'm going to guess an answer.
Guess, because I've got it here.
Oh, well, I'm going to guess 1 at the most.
Oh, you overestimate his
It was
abilities.
0, wasn't it? Yeah.
Jade Gresham, McGrath, Dylan Shield, and Jake Stringer had 0.
Shields shithouse. Like,
No, I don't say shit house, but
But from a midfielder to not lay a tackle, you sort it by tackles and look at where all the high numbers are. Who are all those guys? They're always midfielders because they're like, well, the ball's right here. He's got the ball. I'll tackle him.
Parrish, Caldwell, Roberts. Yep.
Well, if you put the other team in there too, Dunkley will probably be in there. Neil will be in there.
Oh, Dunkley 8, game high. Yep.
See, like that's what we don't have as a midfielder, and that's Stars was doing it.
Can I have another go at Jake Kelly? Sorry.
Okay, go.
Hipwood tried to take a mark over him.
Oh,
Tried to take a hanger, which
Yep,
happens. All right,
that's
fair
the game.
enough. You've got to wear that on the chin, Jake. Hipwood flopped, and Jake's turned around and tried to kick him.
well, I think he more tried.
I hope he fucking gets suspended. Like,
I hope he does
that's
too.
dog, mate.
Yeah, that was shit. I
He's
agree.
dog. And what made me think of that was there was a point where Dunkley fell into Hobbs's back and kneed him, and he was super apologetic. Like, he realised that it happened and went, "Oh fuck, I didn't mean to sort of do that." And like, we talk about this fake tough guy shit.
Yep.
That's the line you play on.
Yep.
Dunkley didn't mean that.
Nope.
He went, "Oh fuck, didn't." Yep, tape it all right. See you later.
Yep.
You can be tough, and Dunkley, 8 tackles, 28 touches, 111 fantasy. We had a pretty good game of football. I'd much rather that than Jake Kelly trying to kick a bloke who's just tried to take a hanger on him.
We've got so many fake toughs.
Fucking hell. Anyway, sorry, do your votes. I
Yeah,
apologise.
sorry. Merritt 3, clearly the best player in our team. If we could clone the bastard,
I have a
which we would.
question for you on him in a minute.
Yep. Is he leaving? Oh, Paul Bardwell. Good choice for him.
Close,
Probably go to a
but
premiership team.
no, do your votes and I'll...
Yep. Nick Martin. Can we assume the experiment of him as a halfbacker is over?
Over. Yep, OVAH.
And that's because Archie Roberts has saved him with one vote. Who's been what's his 3rd, 4th game?
Now, for
Great
the
player.
sake... For the sake of clarity here, I need you to tell me Roberts Heppel. You've got Roberts/Heppel.
I've umdenard through this
So
conversation.
you've got Heppel. You've gone Roberts, sorry.
Yeah, I've gone Roberts, but
Right.
I have umdenard.
Because, this is a coveted award
Yeah,
at the Essendon Football
that'd be
Club.
Heppel's first vote.
Although, and I don't have to pretend here, first is sewn up. First has been sewn up since about round 5.
I was going to say round 5 or 6 when he knocked out the first.
But second was
Yep.
close, and it was
Okay.
not as I expected it might be. I can't remember exactly the details, which is actually good because I can't give anything
Yeah,
away.
it's good. Yeah, interesting.
But Yeah, anyway. So there's no next week. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss this come...
I've cancelled my subscription for KO. I've had enough.
already.
Yep, I said, fuck it. I'm not doing it this morning. I woke up, went, you're gone.
The toxic trait of me is that come the middle of October, I'll miss footy and I'll forget all the pain and suffering that we go through.
I'm trying to remember it really hard right now because I do the same. I get around to January, it's like, yeah, come on, footy.
Footy's back. Yes, because we have an A+ fucking marketing department.
Those bastards get me every year, and I buy a fucking hat, I buy a jumper, I buy a membership, and I think they're going to be good. No, we're shit.
Hang on a second.
Oh, okay. This is awkward. I didn't expect this.
Sorry. I just wanted to remind you.
Oh, you mother.
That came in the mail.
Do you want to explain what happened? So we've told this story a couple of weeks ago. Sam won a fully signed Essendon football jumper, although, to be honest, you can have the fucking thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Nathan's not happy with me, so just any excuse to...
I got a 20% voucher that only lasted 4 days.
Honestly, what I expected to be true.
Yeah. I didn't even use it in the end. I was like, what do I want to buy with 1 week to go in the season that's 20% off?
Well, it's a good time.
What am I buying?
It's a good time, though, because 20% off plus normally there's discounts at the end of the year as well. But
then you're buying old stock.
Really, I would have preferred the voucher.
Well, I'll give you the jumper then, and I'll give you the voucher.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, no, I've got it now.
I've got it. You can buy it off me.
Don't.
So the question I was going to ask you.
Yep.
Zachy Merritt. Now, there's no sense of me wanting this to happen or anything. I love the man. I think he's the greatest, one of the best players we've ever had at the football club.
Yeah. Just get to the question.
For the better of his career. Let me rephrase that.
Betterment?
If we get to his final game
and
we look at him
in
the same way we're looking at Dyson Heppel now, going, geez, what a player, but in the grand scheme of things, didn't really do anything as far as the wider AFL community is concerned. I'm trying to... At what point would you accept...
He's already won 5 all best and fairest, though.
Zach going, for my career, I think I should be in a team where we're going to be winning a flag.
Well, that's not for his career. That's for his own personal mental health, maybe.
I would hate... I'm trying to make the point here. I'd hate for Zach Merritt to get to that point and go, oh, he never won a final. He never...
Yeah, I would hate that. I would hate that for Zach because he is actually genuinely a good football player. Like, he will be... At the end of his career, he will be listed as probably in our something best
team of the
best
century. Team, yeah.
Because he's won, I think, 5 or 6 all best and fairest, and maybe that's because he's had shit opposition.
Doesn't matter. There's still other good players in the football team.
Yeah. And he'll win it again this year. I can't see anyone stopping him from this year. He's polled pretty well in Brownlow's. I would have put a cheeky 20 on him to win this year, to be honest, except he had that bit of a lull the last 5 or 6 weeks.
He'll be in the conversation, I think.
Yeah.
There'll be enough interest from us on Brownlow night. So, obviously, captain 3 All-Australians, 2017, 2021 and 2023, will be in the conversation again this year. I
100%.
Understand not, but he'll be there.
There was even talk that he could be All-Australian captain this year.
Yeah, that was prior to that little lull, but anyway.
Yep.
4 times Crichton medal. So 2016, 2019, 2021 and 2023. And I would put my house on it 2024.
He'll win it this year. So he'll be 5-time all best and fairest.
And obviously the Anzac medal, which is...
so
that meant we won Anzac Day.
That's the resume of a pretty good football player. If you could throw a Brownlow or a Premiership or a Norm Smith, something like that, then all of a sudden they get elevated to the really, really good football players.
Yeah, you get 1 Premiership on that, and he's up there with James Hird as far as our best ever. Yes, I know you're going to have your little goggles on. That's fine, but
that's fine. Yeah, I'll leave my goggles on.
And I did think it was fitting and also hilarious that Heppel ended up on 253 games, which was the same as the great man, James Hird, 253.
Yeah, didn't know.
Anyway, just a hypothetical. I would hate to lose the man, but
I would, if there's a player at the moment that would have value for us to be Parish, he's the one I'd be saying, what's Geelong's first pick? Can we have it? I'd use it on Job Shanahan, who then would turn into a 250 game, probably 700 goal kicking forward. I see he kicked
700.
Yeah, I kicked 700 in a career. He will. I'm going to call it right now. He kicked 11 goals, I think, in the 3 games he played in the VFL for us, or 4 games or whatever. 11 goals, 3. That's not bad for an 18-year-old kid. 18-year-old kid.
What got me is he's just so big.
Oh,
He stood out
he's
so
a good
much
size.
compared to the others. I know I spoke to you, I gave you a pep talk before we hit record and said don't cross over too much into postseason stuff because we want to do that separately. I will just ask you one more question and then let you think about this between now and when we do our season review.
Answer, you know me. I just blurt stuff out.
Well, it's more of a statement that you can respond to. I would be keen. Who would you pick from Richmond? If you could just get one player in, especially considering there might be a trade there, if you could take a player from Richmond right now to best suit the Essendon Football Club, who'd you take? Who'd you steal?
I mean, I'll struggle with this because I think anyone from Richmond is going to the Gold Coast personally, but that's what you're asking. That I'm sure that they would want to.
Well, how about I tell you what I was thinking?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay. It's all about you. Go.
Well, if you don't have an answer, I can tell you what I'm thinking.
I do,
and then
but
you
I was just...
Oh, go. Sorry, go. Shoot. I apologise.
What about you? Isn't
It is.
I would probably go someone like Daniel Rioli.
Okay.
Because I love the way he kicks. I love the way he plays. He plays off the halfback. He can lock someone down. He can get the ball. He could go into the midfield and be creative, you know.
So he's pretty much Gold Coast
bound.
Almost confirmed.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I'm like, well, he's the one I really like.
I'm thinking of one not rumoured to be leaving at all.
Okay. Who's that?
Nick Vlosten.
Nick Vlosten.
Premiership halfback, 30-year-old, been through it all.
Yeah, I hear you and I don't mind. I see where you're coming from. So he's our Hodge.
Yeah, and I've been looking for that kind of player for a little while.
I get it.
And
I get it. I don't mind it.
Just, I don't know his leadership capabilities or what, but the man's been through
at the right
three
place.
premierships in a defence that was honestly pretty incredible. And I don't know if he's gettable or anything like that. There's not a single.
No, but I like
piece
your
of
head. I
logic.
like where you're at.
You like my head, thanks.
I like where you're thinking because what Essendon's big problem is that we don't have enough leadership, and the leadership that is there are the guys like McGrath, who's the vice captain, who's I don't know,
poor.
He's a nice person.
He's a good schoolboy,
good
private schoolboy. Yeah,
good. Never wouldn't go near tattoos. Fuck that. So what we probably need is a little bit of someone that's got a bit of a harder edge, like a Goddard, but maybe not so psycho.
A few less pretzels. Yep.
A few less pretzels. So yeah, I get you. And at 30, that's perfect because he's still got 2 or 3, 4 years of good footy, depending on how he rolls. You look at what's his name from Collingwood? But he's going to go around again next year. They're captain.
Oh, Pendlebury, Sidebottom.
Pendlebury.
Yep.
Yeah, those guys. They're going to go around again. They're going to be 34 next year. Geelong, half their bloody list will be 37 next year.
Geez, Geelong have got a few going, though. Tui,
Geelong.
Stewart, and
Geelong.
more. I know you do. So do I. That was incredible. They were up by 100 points at half time. I can't quite believe that West Coast won the second half of that game. It was
But that happens
114 to 14 at half time.
But that happens in and that's part of why the Brisbane probably faded in the last quarter because they're like, all right, this game's sewn up. Next week we got finals. I don't want to get injured. I don't want to do a hamstring. I don't want to bust my ass in the last quarter of a game that means nothing against a team that are fucking shit house.
Can I
That's my view of the game. The game was the first quarter, the first half. That's where it was to be played.
100 points up at half time, mate. Jesus. Yeah. If I can end with one little thing. One final thought that frustrates me about the Essendon Football Club. So honestly, obviously with Geelong West Coast, where West Coast had lost like most of their defence, they didn't have Duggan, they didn't have McGovern.
Yep.
There was the footage surfacing of that iconic photo of the scoreboard at Geelong when it was like Geelong 247 to Melbourne, or 233 to Melbourne 47 or something. That really dark day where they just smashed them. I don't remember where that was, when that was. Melbourne were bad. I know Melbourne were bad in that early 2010s.
It was at Cardinia Park, I reckon.
Yeah, it was at Cardinia, yeah.
Yep.
They've won a flag. So they went to Geelong, lost by 180 points, got belted by everyone they played, essentially, from like 2011 to 2013-14.
Yep.
Got some draft picks, come up, won a flag less than 10 years later.
Yes, but it's...
And where are we?
No, well, just to stop there, it's the got some draft picks part. So they got...
We've had draft picks.
They got what's his name? The ruckman,
Luke Jackson.
Jackson, and they also picked up Viney as a father-son pretty high in the picks, and they got Petrarca and Oliver. You look at that as 4 or 5 players, but that's between their dark days and their.
That's my point.
Yeah, we haven't. We've got McGrath,
and I can't help.
Cox.
I can't help but think we're going to be looking
Reed.
at Hawthorn in a month's time, going, "Fuck, they turned it around."
Well, again, they went and
are.
got Massimo D'Ambrosio. They went and got Mobio Chol, and they got that ruckman out of. I can never remember his name.
Reeves?
Out of
It's Ned Reeves, isn't it?
Oh, Reeves, yes, sorry. Out of so they went and got players that worked they needed for one, and they've got him playing better. Chol couldn't get a game up at the Gold Coast. Maybe that's a thing with Gold Coast. They're 1 year away from Gold Coast. They're really good. After that, they start to fade. We'll see. So, yeah, and then they. Yeah.
You're overanalyzing. I just wanted to make the point
Sorry.
that they had the darkest day in their history, the darkest years in their history, and they still won a freaking premiership.
Well, we've had our darkest days in our history. That was 2012 and then 2016. We haven't had that premiership yet. So I agree
we're
with
not
you.
a damn well anywhere near.
We're not anywhere near it because we keep recruiting players that are shit house. But let's be honest, our recruitment is shit.
I know, I agree.
Have a superstar since Zach Merritt. Zach Merritt's the best player that rocked into our club, and he's now nearly 30. But in between him and the next one, you name the best player that's come to the club. It's Nick Martin, who was a mid-season draft.
No, supplemental period.
Supplemental period.
Yep.
It could be who else would be the next best player at our club? I don't know.
Danaher?
Yeah, probably, but he's not at the club.
That's my point.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the biggest problem. We cannot, on that day in November when they draft, everyone gets to pick someone. We are very bad at that.
And this is why, collectively as fans, we are so hyped up on Nate Caddy. That's where this comes from. This obsession that we feel towards these kids, because we haven't got to see that very often. I don't remember. Danaher was the last one I remember going, we were so on his debut.
And maybe that's about picking forwards, not midfielders. Maybe, if you don't have the top 3 pick, don't fucking go for a midfielder. Just pick a forward or a defender.
But I guess if you've got a Harley Reid coming, we would have been very excited about that. Or
yeah, but he was the number 1 pick.
Or what's his face? The one we wanted, Sheasel.
Sheasel, yeah. We would have loved Sheasel. Sheasel would have, that would have been the dream fluke for us. To get him instead of that Hobbs year, wasn't it?
No, Sardis.
Sardis, yeah, that's right.
Because it was Warlord.
I mean, you look at that so they've got Warlord and Sheasel, and we've picked Sardis, who's playing VFL and can't kick.
Too soon to judge. You've got to give him more than 2 years.
He's been in the club for 2 years, mate.
I know, but that's too soon.
Yep.
You judge a player on a career.
Is it the end of next year? Can I?
There's a whole lot of judgment at the end of next year, not just on Lige.
That's for another day.
It is for another day. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you're still here, God, you're a trooper. And if you're not still here, we do appreciate your company still. But
we'd like to thank everyone for improving our listeners and our subscribers in different formats this year. We've really enjoyed the numbers, and we hope to continue to improve our performances. Unlike Essendon, we will be better next year.
It is quite amazing, if I can just say, the Hawthorn game in round 1, we had 250 on YouTube views. The last 4 weeks have been close to 2,000, if not over. So it's quite incredible and a bit of fun for us at the end of the day. So, appreciate it.
We're near retirement too, with all the money rolling in, as you can imagine. We've been able to buy cars and houses.
Painfully untrue.
We can nearly pay for a coffee.
Just about get the money back for the green screens, maybe. The Zoom subscription, that's a killer.
The Zoom subscription, that's what breaks us. All right, let's wrap this up.
We do genuinely appreciate the company, and we'll be back at least with one more podcast reviewing the year. We'll probably do a draft wrap, and then that might just about do us until February, when we'll get all excited to be let down again.
We'll be watching the Essendon Football Club PR campaign. We will. I wonder what the slogan will be for next year.
Whatever it takes. Yeah. All right, go Dons.
All right, go Bombers.